Hello. Okay, I'm going to show you real quick how to make the base for this card that I made. It's super easy. So you just take, I just started out with a piece of 8.5 by 11, okay? 8.5 by 11. And then you score it. So you want to score it in half. So half of 11 is 5.5, and then half of 5.5 is 2 3/4. So you score it at 2 3/4, 5.5. And that makes your base. Then we have to die cut it, okay? So it's just like this. So what we're going to do is we're going to die cut it right here on the bottom, and then we're also going to die cut it right here. And I'm going to show you some tricks so that you can get it lined up, so that when everything is closed, it's going to be closed like this. There's going to be another layer on top that's your decorated layer that you attach here, and it sticks up high. Everything's lined up. Your sides are flush. The die cuts are perfectly lined up, okay? So what we're going to do is you're going to get your cutting thing over here. And, okay, so when it's all done, it's going to set like this, right? So this is the bottom that sets flat on the table. Okay, so we're going to cut that one first. So I'm going to put it on my mat, and I'm going to let this side of the paper hang over the magnetic mat just a little bit. Because, well, actually I'm going to do this side first, because I'm going to mark the center point of this piece. So having a T-square is very helpful. So just make sure your T-square is flush on your paper, and then come down, and you want to put a little mark at 4 1/4, because that's halfway, okay? Now the reason you do that is because this is the center of your die right here. This die is really easy to see the center on. So I want my paper to hang over the magnetic mat just a tiny little bit over here. And I'm going to put the center right on that mark, and I'm going to leave about 1/16 of an inch between the die and the edge of the paper. And then I'm going to put it down. Now, I don't know if that's straight this way or not, right? That's where you have your T-square. So you line that up, get that flush with the side of the paper. Okay. Make sure it's nice and flush. And then you slide it down, and you can see that that die is not, I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but there is no gap between the die and the ruler on this side, but there's a little gap over there. So you just push up with your thumbs until it's, and make sure you're still flush over here with your paper, and then make sure it stays centered. So now you know that that is perfectly straight across there. So then you're going to run it through. So you're just going to put the top on, and you're just going to stick it in your machine like this. Okay, this is going to go in first, and this is just going to go through, and it'll be fine. Okay, so now it's cut. It's got some goobers on there. There. Okay, so if you want to ink it, this is when you ink it, all right? So you got to get yourself a scrap piece of paper, and you're going to put that down flush up against that die. And then you're going to get your ink, and you're going to ink. I got these brushes. I got a whole set of them from Amazon for super cheap. And I'm using the, hold on a second. Spectrum Noir Quick Dry in Pale Fig. I love this quick dry ink. It's great for stamping because as soon as it hits the paper, it's dry. There's no chance of smudging. And I am not a great stamper. I have had a very rough relationship with stamping over the years, but it's one thing I've been trying to work on this last year. Just get my stamping better. And so I've bought good inks, good tools, stamping platforms. It really helps. All right, so when you take that off, now your die cut is inked and it's beautiful. Okay. All right, so we just did that side. Now remember, this card's gonna flip over like this, right? And we're not gonna ink this, but we want the embossing to be on this side, and I'll tell you why later when we go to put our front panel on. So you can't just turn this around like this and then stick the die cut on and die cut it, because what's going to happen if you do that is when you fold it over, you're going to have the yucky side of your die cut facing out. And even though you're not going to see it, we need the nice embossed side to be facing this way when the card is being displayed. Okay, like as soon as we cut the front piece, it'll all make sense. So let me clean my die out here, and then we're going to cut this other side. And you might want to get a baby wipe and wipe your die off before you do the other side. Okay, so what we have to do is we have to turn this around and then flip it over. Okay, so we're cutting on the opposite side that we just cut on. And this one I've already marked the middle, so I already know where the middle is. So I'm going to line that die up with the middle. Leave about a 1/16 of an inch there. And then I'm going to get my T-square out. I'm going to make sure that die is straight. That mat's getting in the way of my square there. Okay, so make sure it's flush with the paper, and you can see how crooked it is because it's touching the ruler over on this side, but there's a big gap there. So I'm going to pull it just a little closer to me so I can see better. Make sure I get this nice and straight. Okay, so slide this down. Okay, now what you're going to do is you're just going to take your thumbs and you're going to just push that one side up. Now it's flush with the ruler, but it went back that way just a smidge. So I'm just going to pull the ruler down, push that die down toward the end a little bit, and then just double check it. Make sure you're nice and flush. Okay, perfect. So let's run it through. I'm going to slide it this way just a little bit. Put my top plate on, and I'm just going to stick it through like that, just like I did before. Okay, now we're going to put our scrap piece on. And we're going to put some ink on. I'm not trying to do a really super good job here. I'm just trying to so you guys get the general idea, but you want to do a good job. Make sure that you get the ink is in all the places and get it as dark as you want it or as light as you want it. These brushes are great for this because if you had those little foam ones, this would probably tear it up a little bit. Okay. Good enough. And there's your other side. So now both sides. So like I said before, this is your bottom, and this folds. Oh, I didn't need to ink that. Oh well, you got to see me ink it twice. We're gonna cover that up, so you do not need to ink that side. But you got to see me ink twice. I got a little carried away there. Okay, so we don't need this, and we don't need this. So you can just cut. This is where the embossing or the die cut stops. Right there. So just cut over. And just remove these two pieces from both sides. There. So now you've got your little base. Okay, so now the center, this is your panel that stands up where all your decorating is going to be on here. And so how you do this is you start off with a piece that is 8.5 by 8, and I forgot to make one, so let me make one real quick. So I'm going to leave it 8.5, but I'm going to cut it down to 8. Okay, so now we're going to cut both this side and this side, and we don't have to flip it over. We're going to the embossing is facing up on both sides, so you're just going to cut it like this. And it's the same process. You're going to use the T-square. You're going to mark your center down here at 4 1/4, so you know where to put your die. You're going to do the same thing on the other side, and then you're going to cut it, and then you're also going to oh, see, I've already cut all the extra off of this one, so I'm going to go ahead and do this so you can see. Let me make sure that I got my center right. So it's kind of important. This is how everything lines up when it's all closed. Yeah, see, that wasn't correct. So here is 4 1/4. So I'm going to erase this other one. And I might as well just go ahead and mark my other center on this one. Other side, 4 1/4. Okay. Okay, I'm going to let it hang over a little bit over there. Got to clean out my die. Wish I had somebody off camera to clean out my die for me. I'd be bougie. Okay. So, make sure everything's nice and straight. Line up your center on your die with the mark you made and plonk it down. Get your T-square out. And see, it's not straight at all. So I'm going to push up on that side and that side. Oops, my T-square was not cooperating. Moved the whole die up and I didn't want that. Okay, slide it down. Okay, so now I gotta push that side up a little. All right, there, now it's flush with the T-square and it's centered with my mark. So now I can cut it. And at this point, this is where you're going to ink it before you take it out. I'm not going to do that. You've already seen me ink twice. Okay, and you're going to flip it around. And you're going to do exactly the same thing. Come on. Little pieces are not cooperating. Okay. Let's try and get my mat kind of straight. And that kind of helps the whole process just a little. So you want your paper to stick out past the magnetic mat so you can get your T-square on it, but you don't want it to stick out past the plate. Put that on there. T-square out. Okay, that's pretty crooked, huh? So let's slide this down. Push that up a little. This T-square that I have, there's a little lip here, so it sits up and you end up having to push down on it to get this edge flat. It's kind of a pain. I think I need to go shop around for a new one. I think this was one my husband had when I met him or something, and I just acquired it. So let me just check this again just to make sure. Okay, now it's not quite centered anymore. I'm going to slide it over a little. All right, I think that's pretty good. Stick that in there. Again, don't forget, this is the point where you're going to ink it before you take it off. Don't forget to use your little scrap piece of paper over here when you're inking so you don't get ink all over. You're going to mat and layer it, but if you want a little bit of white to show, you don't want it to be inky. It's going to look sloppy. All right, so now all right, so this is what you have. You got your base, you inked it, you flipped it over, turned it around, you cut that side, and you did not ink this. Just pretend like that's not inked because it's unnecessary. Okay, because this is going to go like this. And then you're going to have a piece that we just cut that looks like this. It's going to go on top of there. So you're not going to see that. You're not going to see that inking, so it was unnecessary. All right, so with this one, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to cut these off. Okay. Now, in real life, what you're going to do is, this is exactly the same. There's no top or bottom. It's exactly the same. So just pick a side to put glue on and put glue on it. And I'm just going to put a little tape runner on this one. So I don't want you to have to sit here and watch me glue. Okay, so just remember now, this is your bottom. This is your big wide section that's your bottom. You got your little section here, and it folds forward. And that's the piece that you're going to put this on. And this lines up. See, now this is the reason why the embossing is facing up on this, because this back side and this front side, they just kind of lock together really easy. It's like a no-brainer. It just goes together perfectly. And then it just stands up like this. I'll burnish this a little bit. And this is a good size card. I like big cards. I need to get this one burnished better. Remember to burnish your folds really good. Okay. And what's next? Okay, so this is 3 layers. Here's one layer. There's another layer right here, and then your top layer. And when you fold it closed, look, it's all lined up perfectly. You cannot, it is not wonky at all. That's because you measured and you used a T-square and you lined everything up so that it's nice and straight. Now, what about these sides over here? This is why we left those until we put it together. So now you're going to bring it over to your cutting board, your whatever cutter you use, and you're going to line it up perfectly. Cut those sides off so that you're cutting them all at once and they're all nice and flush. And it's hard for me to see right now, so I'm not really doing the best job. Normally I'm standing up looking down on this, but now it's all, oops, goes this way, nice and flush. You close it up, it's all perfect looking, and then you're going to mat and layer this middle section right here. And this is going to be inked and inked if you want it inked. And then you can mat and layer this. You can also decorate up in here if you want. You could put you could do like a colored mat and then another white mat and have that be where you can write something if you want. But that's really all there is to it. It's really simple. And this measures, when it's closed, it's 8 by 7. So it's just a little bit bigger than, you could make this piece a little bit smaller. You could make it 7. And so this is going to be an inch shorter in here, and then you'll end up with a 7 by 7 card. But I like big cards. All right, so this is one that, this has all the inking on it. It's not decorated, but it has all the inking done, so you can kind of see. There we go. What it looks like all inked. Pretty easy, huh? I like these. And where's one I made the other day? What did I do with that one? Oh, it's right here. So this one is very similar. This is made with All Crafters Companion products. And this was a craft along. And this is the exact same principle that we just did. So you have your base and it comes forward and we die cut the front part, and then we made this section right here, but then I ended up there's a shadow layer back here, so I cut another piece. You can't see it because it goes down just a little bit farther under this fold, and there's a gold shadow layer back there. You can kind of see it a little bit. Anyway, and then there is, so this is all one piece right here, right? And it's cut on the bottom and it's cut on the top. And it's just like we did on the other one. And then there is a pink layer. Yep, and a gold shadow layer, and then the whole front piece that's white. And then this is another edgeable. And before you put on the top pattern paper, you make an edgeable that has like the sides of it. They're not cut or anything. They're just solid, and they come out about an inch on each side. And then when you wrap it around your pattern piece that's shorter, it causes it to bow out like this. So I thought that was pretty cool. I had fun making this. It was a nice little craft along that they did. Let's see. There, I think you can see it better that way. It looks kind of black on my screen, but it's navy blue and kind of a peachy pink, and there's some gold foiling on this paper. That's why I did the gold accent. And all of these little, the birthday and the with love, and this little one with the flowers right here. It's a big circle of flowers, and there's another one under here that just sticks out. Those are Crafter's Companion. It's all from a paper pad. It's this paper came from that paper pad, and then there's like 3 sheets of die cuts. It's one of my favorite ones. And then I just took a peach marker and put a little peach in the center of those, and then stuck the pearls in. And the centers of these are open. They're cut out like a big circle like that. So I just took a little square of paper and glued it on the back side so that when you stuck these on, there was something for them to grab onto. Otherwise, they wouldn't stay. But, okay, anyway. There you go. I don't know if I could show you a couple other things I made recently, like this little, it's like a little flower stand. I used Cartabella paper and Spellbinders dies for the flowers that I just got. And that turned out kind of cute. I just made it up. It wasn't very hard. And then I used the same Cartabella stuff and made this easel card that's the same way you make an easel card. I just didn't do any, die cutting on the bottom. In fact, the only die cutting on here at all is this little piece of gingham that goes across here for this pocket. I took a oval die and cut a little oval out of the top of the pocket, and then I stuck that piece that I cut out over here on it's just glued on there. This was inspired by one that Kathy Clement. She has a YouTube channel, Kathy by Design, or you can just search Kathy with a K, Clement with a C, C-L-E-M-E-N-T. She makes a lot of really cool stuff. And if you like busy cards like this, where there's a lot going on, like this is a pocket in the front, and these little tags all come out, and then you open it up, and there's a pocket in here, and she makes a lot of folios, and she just really has some cute ideas. And this one, in this pocket down here, this goes in here. It's a little, you just flip it open, and then there's another little pocket right here. You could put a gift card in it or something. I thought that was kind of cute. She has some really cute ideas. So anyway, all right, well, there you go. If you have any questions, let me know.